arrival, they found two males pulled from the water, he says. One they saved, but Malcolm, despite their best efforts, showed no vital signs and was pronounced dead on the...
See some warning signs for people who are coming to enjoy the day here. It says Corrientes de Resaca todo el año. Basically warning people there is a current here throughout the year. You can see there are warnings for surfers. There's warnings about wave conditions.
They wouldn't let me help thee. He could have survived. That's the chilling claim from a trauma doctor who was vacationing just a few hundred feet from where Malcolm-Jamal Warner drowned in Costa Rica. According to this doctor, he sprinted to the scene after spotting the chaos and saw Red Cross responders performing CPR. But here's the part that has everyone suspicious. He says they refused to let him step in even after he clearly identified himself as a doctor. He added that the CPR being done wasn't fully effective, and before he could take over, the ambulance rushed Malcolm's body away. And then things got even stranger. An autopsy was performed immediately, and just hours after the news broke, the official autopsy report was released to the public. Anyone who follows celebrity tragedies knows this almost never happens. Normally, autopsy reports take weeks, sometimes months to come out, but in Malcolm's case, the whole thing was wrapped up in less than 24 hours. Costa Rican authorities quickly labeled it an accident and moved on, but fans, they are not buying it. The official story keeps changing, and every version is messier than the last. First, reports claimed Malcolm was swimming with his daughter when a rip current dragged them under. Then suddenly, they said the daughter wasn't even in the water. Later, the story switched again. This time, he was swimming alone, and a stranger jumped in to save him. But now, authorities are claiming that man wasn't a stranger at all. It was Malcolm's friend, and the two were swimming together. And here's the wildest twist. That same friend was reportedly in critical condition when pulled from the water, but within 24 hours, he was released from the hospital like nothing ever happened. And that so-called friend, still completely anonymous and still silent. So what really went down when first responders pulled Malcolm out of the water? And why on earth did they stop a trauma doctor from helping him? The shifting stories alone are a massive red flag. Let's break it down. At first, every headline claimed Malcolm drowned while heroically trying to save his 8-year-old daughter. That version spread like wildfire across social media. But then, less than 24 hours later, Costa Rican police suddenly flipped the script. Now they said his daughter was never in the water at all. She was supposedly safe on the beach the entire time. But here's the shady part. They didn't explain whether she was there alone. Reports suggest Malcolm's wife wasn't on the beach at that moment, and Malcolm had gone into the ocean with a friend instead. And come on, does anyone believe Malcolm would just leave his 8-year-old daughter sitting on the beach by herself while he swam out with a buddy? Even Costa Rica's Judicial Investigation Department gave a bizarre statement saying Malcolm was playing with his daughter at the seashore before leaving her and heading into the ocean with a friend. Are we really supposed to accept that a loving dad left his child unsupervised on a foreign beach while he went for a swim? But the mystery doesn't stop there. The story about this mysterious man who swam with Malcolm keeps changing too. At first, they claimed he was a total stranger, a hero who jumped in when he saw Malcolm in trouble. Then, suddenly, he became a family friend. Somehow that mysterious man made it out of the water alive. But here's the twist. Nobody knows who he is. No photos, no interviews, not even a confirmed name. According to USA Today, this second man, who reportedly tried to save Malcolm, was rushed to a Costa Rican clinic in critical condition on Sunday, July 20th. But then, less than 24 hours later, the LA Times reported he had made a full recovery and walked out of the hospital like nothing happened. A 29-year-old from Nicaragua goes from critical to completely fine in one night. People are calling this the most suspicious part of the entire case. And here's what really raises eyebrows. If your friend just drowned in a highly publicized, mysterious way, wouldn't you at least speak up? Release a statement, try to clear the rumors? Instead, this man has stayed completely silent while online blogs and social media spin endless theories about Malcolm's final moments. But it gets even stranger. Remember that trauma doctor staying down the beach? He saw people running toward the shoreline and heard someone scream for help. He told Us Weekly, "I was about 200 meters from the incident at Playa Grande, spending the day on vacation with my partner. There were very few people on the beach and the sea was rough." When he arrived, Red Cross responders were already performing CPR on Malcolm. He immediately introduced himself as a US certified trauma surgeon, yet they refused to let him anywhere near the body. And here's the bombshell. 2 more tourists, who were also doctors, ran over offering help, making it 3 physicians ready to save Malcolm's life, and none of them were allowed to assist. Instead, local responders kept everyone back and rushed Malcolm away. So now we've got a timeline that keeps flipping, a mystery man no one will name, and 3 doctors who were literally pushed away from helping. Playa Grande in the Guanacaste region isn't some casual, family-friendly beach. It's infamous for its deadly rip currents. Locals say they see rough waters year-round, and the shoreline is covered with warning signs telling people exactly that. Do not swim here. According to residents, this is not where you take an 8-year-old for a fun day in the water. And here's the kicker. There were no lifeguards on duty that day, even though the beach is known for its danger. So you have to ask yourself, was this really just a tragic accident, or was the location itself part of a setup? A dangerous, poorly monitored beach is the perfect place for something suspicious to go down. No cameras, no trained rescue teams, and an easy excuse if things go wrong. And remember, Malcolm-Jamal Warner wasn't just Theo Huxtable from The Cosby Show. He was a rare Hollywood figure who openly spoke about racial injustice and systemic inequality, never sugarcoating the truth. He wasn't afraid to challenge the industry or call out uncomfortable realities, and when you do that, you make powerful enemies. Here's the hard truth. Celebrities who speak against the system have a patterned history of meeting sudden, unexplained ends. It's almost always written off as a freak accident, an overdose, or some tragic twist of fate. But behind the headlines, the details rarely add up. Here's something you won't see blasted on mainstream media. Right before his death, Malcolm-Jamal Warner was allegedly working on a project that dared to touch one of the most controversial topics out there. According to insiders, he was developing a documentary exploring the theory that Jesus and the original Hebrews were black. And now, a resurfaced clip of Malcolm talking about this exact subject has fans raising eyebrows all over again. One insider revealed that Malcolm wasn't just casually reading about this, he was deep in research, reaching out to historians, scholars, and biblical experts to challenge the version of religious history that's been widely accepted for centuries. This wasn't some casual curiosity, he was putting in the kind of work that can make powerful institutions very uncomfortable. Now, the theory itself isn't new. For decades, Black scholars and religious groups have pushed the idea that the earliest Hebrews and even Jesus himself were people of African descent. They point to geography. Ancient Israel sits right near Africa, and to biblical descriptions that don't match the blonde-haired, blue-eyed image Hollywood has sold for years. Phrases like hair like wool and feet like burnt brass describe physical traits that sound far more African than European. Malcolm believed this was a story worth telling, and that makes his sudden death feel even more chilling. This topic is still highly explosive, and history shows that any celebrity who dares to speak on it faces immediate backlash. Just look at what happened to Kyrie Irving in 2022. He shared a link to a documentary that promoted similar ideas, claiming African Americans are the true descendants of the biblical Hebrews. Almost instantly, the NBA hit him with threats, media outrage exploded, and he was suspended after refusing to apologize. Whether or not you believe this theory, Kyrie's situation proved one thing: the conversation is heavily controlled. Mainstream media will rarely cover it without attaching damaging labels, making it almost impossible for public figures to explore the topic openly. So for Malcolm-Jamal Warner to be working on a project like this, that was bold, dangerous, and risky. And if he really started digging into historical records, talking to academics, and preparing to challenge the narrative, the pressure behind the scenes must have been intense. Now here's where things get even more chilling. Insiders claim Malcolm confided to a close friend that he felt like he was being watched. He allegedly said someone didn't want him going public with what he had uncovered, and then just weeks later he was gone. Fans can't help but wonder, was Malcolm silenced before he could expose the truth? Or was this all just a tragic coincidence? Either way, the questions aren't going away anytime soon. Like, share, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.